Hi. Hi, Alex. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Um, Welcome to the CASAA update for the week of 7/20/2015. So, what's been happening lately, Alex?
um, well, we had a pretty nice break there.
Hmm. Yeah, it was
um,
nice.
that I think is over. I've been in Slack mode for the past month or so,
I
but
can't imagine why.
it's time to knock the dust off my keyboard. So to get right to it, um, we've got a call to action coming out probably tomorrow, depending on how far we get with the draft here, um, for Alabama. The governor is pushing a tax proposal in a special session. Um, the legislature will be getting back into session on August 3rd, I believe. Um, and according to an article that came out today, Alabama vapers are looking at a proposed 25-cent per milliliter tax. Um, and as quoted in this article, which I should probably share the link with you so you can share that around with people. There's the link. The pack equivalent, it would be a $3.50 tax for the equivalent of a pack of cigarettes, which I'm not quite sure how they arrive at pack equivalency. But the interesting thing is that the current tax on a pack of cigarettes is 40 cents in Alabama.
Right.
So cheap living, but this would be, I mean, a nickel tax on vapor products would be outrageous. This is so much more. Right. So, yeah, Alabama, you're on alert, and we'd like to get some people communicating lawmakers before they go back into session. I think one of the bits of advice that we got was that some communication now leading up to the legislature coming back into this special session will be crucial, because if they come back and there isn't going to be much debate on this. It pretty much goes from proposal to how quickly can they enact this. So now will be the time to act on that. So hopefully we'll get this cranked out tonight, and we can put a link to this in the notes. And of course, the full-blown call to action will be posted around.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know people say 25 cents per mil isn't a lot, but when, like what you say, the equivalent for a pack is 40 cents is the tax on a pack. This is punitive well, not that any of the tobacco taxes aren't punitive taxation. Sin taxes, basically a way to fix budget shortfalls, unfortunately. And special sessions do seem to be all the rage, don't they?
Yeah, especially when it comes to budgets. I imagine that working out budget detail, I mean, when it comes to money, everything gets very complicated, especially at the state level. You have multiple concerns with their fingers in the pie, and you have to be very careful about issues. Appropriations become politicized, and it really complicates things. So I'm assuming that some of these lawmakers feel that tobacco policy is somewhat of a slam dunk, and of course they're being fed information that leads them to believe that all things nicotine is basically smoking, and so just go for it. Yeah, it's absolutely imperative that we make some noise and help them understand that's not the case.
Right.
So that's Alabama. That's what I'm
Okay.
doing tonight. The other thing that unfortunately I'm not as up to speed on as some other folks is California. Everybody, I think, took a much deserved bit of celebration when SB 140 was pretty much, it was amended in committee. I think neutered might be a strong description, but it was amended to the point that the bill sponsor felt that he needed to walk away from the bill. And as far as I understand it, essentially it was amended to the point where e-cigarettes were no longer going to be included in the definition of tobacco, which essentially took away the impetus for the bill. And for those that haven't been following California too closely, the big concern with California is that if vapor products are defined as tobacco, I think anywhere in the state code, the concern is that it will open up the product category to all of the other tobacco regulations, specifically taxation. And in California this year, this is very, very dangerous because there are threats of are they referendums? Are they ballot referendums? I don't know what they call them out there.
They reintroduced a package of tobacco regulation bills on Thursday. And
right. But there's another issue here. It's a ballot initiative. It's something not. It doesn't follow the regular legislative process. They haven't gone out and done this yet, but there are anti-smoking groups that are planning to get the ball rolling on these ballot initiatives or whatever that would raise the tax on tobacco products to $2.
Yeah.
$2 a pack. I don't know if this applies to smokeless tobacco as well, but if SB 140 were to pass, that would make electronic cigarettes subject to this $2 a pack tax.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, they want to raise it to tobacco 21 too, don't they?
I think that might be, well, I don't know if that's included in these ballot initiatives. That might have been a separate piece of legislation.
The major proposals seek to treat electronic cigarettes as tobacco products and to raise the legal smoking age to 21. So, yeah.
Is that from these ballot initiatives that I am sure I'm calling by the wrong name?
Yeah, well, they're called. The only thing I can find about them is the story about tobacco bills, and what they want to do is put it into the special session, all 6 of the ones that failed from last time, right? Which was tobacco 21, the $2 per pack, e-cigarettes as tobacco, and a couple of other ones that were really, really bad for vaping. They want to reintroduce all 6 of those and put it in as like one package for the legislators to vote on. I'm just telling you what I'm reading here. It's what I've been reading for like the past few days.
Okay. So that's the bills that I'm getting to, and that's the bit that I'm not completely up on, which you're probably more up on than I am at this point. And I do want, but there's an added layer of concern here with these ballot initiatives, in that if any of these bills pass, any of these bills define electronic cigarettes as tobacco, then these ballot initiatives that will happen later on in the year or could start soon will be asking the legislature to enact. One of them is asking the legislature to enact a $2 per pack tax on cigarettes, and that would apply to vapor products as well. This is something that we haven't released a call to action for because the process for getting these initiatives going hasn't really started yet. But if these pack of bills that we're now talking about that have now been reintroduced in the special session, if any of this passes with that tobacco definition, then there's this extra threat of these ballot initiatives. It's complicated, and I'm sorry that it took so long to arrive at that explanation.
But it did because to get to that point, you actually have to sit through a bunch of the hearings that they had. Like they had a July 9th session to talk about this, and you have to sit through that and watch all of it, and it's pretty terrible. Nothing is easy in California, basically. So I'll give you a link to what I watched if you really want to be up on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, fun stuff. God. So fun stuff.
So that's California, and this is sort of an off-the-cuff plug for the folks over at NotBlowingSmoke.org, who are doing a good job of getting out information about the California bills and a couple of other things. And I believe at 9 o'clock tonight, they're going to be discussing this on the OHM page. So Google that, and I'm sure that all of the people regularly listening to this show know how to use the Google and can find that. So if you want, I'll share the link with you if you want to drop that in chat. Sure. So there's that. And of course, the California SFATA chapters have been pretty instrumental in rallying the troops in California as well. So those are two groups to pay attention to for California. They're obviously on the ground and have somehow magically, it's not magic, they're just very hardworking people, managed to work their way to getting a good comprehensive view of all of this bad stuff. So I'm struggling to be able to complement their efforts where we can. But so anyway, credit is due.
They're passionately involved. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't say more than that. Awesome. So, California.
The other thing is, while there's still daylight left in Monday, we didn't actually put out a call to action for this. But the Surgeon General is asking for your quit stories in 140 characters or less, if you can manage that. I've seen a lot of vapers participate in this. I would encourage anybody who also has quit by any other tobacco harm reduction means to participate. Smokeless tobacco, heat not burn stuff, whatever. If that's how you quit, then you should share that story. And of course, the Surgeon General has phrased this as tobacco cessation, but we know better. That's not the real point. So
what's the hashtag?
Oh man, how did I forget that? Really?
You're Mr. Hashtag.
Hold on, I'm gonna find it. Oh man, that's so lame. Hold on. Hashtag StoryForChange.
Okay.
Is the hashtag, and TransformationTuesday, I believe that's tomorrow, is when I guess the Surgeon General is going to look through everybody's stories, which at this point, and one of the reasons why we didn't put anything formal out about this is at this point, like 90% of the tweets are coming from vapers. So, with little notice and a couple of retweets, people have really jumped on this. And so I would encourage everyone to share your story with the Surgeon General. If Twitter's a little too confining for you, the Surgeon General also has a Facebook page, and you can comment on the post about this. Again, I have faith that people know how to use Google and can find the Surgeon General's Facebook page. yeah, this contest runs through tonight, so please take advantage of it tonight. It's not a contest. And that's that. I might be, the only other thing I think to talk about might be New Jersey.
Oh, go ahead.
I live in New Jersey, and
I know you do.
I did not attend the event. I would like to say, I believe the organizers reached out to us to see if we wanted to attend. And if they happen to listen to these and you hear this, I apologize if I did not get back to you. I thought I did, but we have a policy of not attending expos in their first year. It's sort of an informal policy, but we like to see that people have their act together before we lend our name to anything. And actually, we don't really lend our name; we just sort of show up. But there's a bit of credibility that comes with that. So we're very cautious with the events that we attend. And I have some mixed feelings about how this whole thing turned out. And of course, I didn't attend, so I'm not really in a position to say a whole lot about it, other than it was on very sketchy ground to begin with. It's my understanding that the organizers felt they had found a loophole in the language of the New Jersey Indoor Clean Air Law, and that by promoting this and treating this as a private event, a members-only event, that they would be circumventing the Indoor Clean Air Law as it pertains to vaping. Whether or not that's legitimate, I don't really know. But I do know that they managed to kind of draw out a couple of very active and well-known anti-smoker people in New Jersey. The executive director of New Jersey GASP and Senator Joe Vitale. Senator Joe Vitale was the author of the I forget the bill number, but it was the 70% wholesale tax on electronic cigarettes that was introduced last year. That bill is still alive and has a companion bill now. So he's, I believe, spent a lot of time listening to the poisoned words coming from NJ Gasp. And he's full on just sucked into that pack of lies. So anyway, it's an interesting thing, and my kind of personal view about it is that I think it's really unfortunate that New Jersey is not able to have one of these events. No comment on the actual nuts and bolts of how the event was presented, or what being on the showroom floor might have been like. I've seen some pictures that I think a lot of us are just not all that happy about. But at the end of the day, a vaping expo is a vaping expo, and to not be able to have that in New Jersey, this is, no matter what you think about New Jersey is a pretty important state. And to not be able to have these events here is kind of a shame. The plus side of all of this is that I hope that the rest of the country takes note. This is what happens when your state prohibits vaping. This is what happens when a state defines vapor products as tobacco products for the purposes of banning use in public spaces, indoors or out. There's a lot of confusion, I think, here. For a new vapor that starts vaping in New Jersey and walks into pretty much any given shop, you'll find that they play pretty fast and loose with the law here. It's on the books that you can't vape in a vape shop, but it happens all over the place. There are bars that let you vape in their establishment. People get away with it. So, unless you actually are curious enough to investigate the code, you could go a full year without knowing about it. So on one hand, it doesn't look like that big of a deal. On the other hand, there are unconfirmed reports that people at this trade show, all said and done, tens of thousands of dollars of fines were issued at this trade show for people vaping. So again, that's a little bit on the unconfirmed side, to the point that I don't have an exact dollar amount, but I've heard in excess of $10,000. So if you think an indoor vaping ban isn't that big of a deal, I can tell you you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's not just about appearance. It absolutely affects your access to these products. So if you weren't paying attention before, no matter what you might think of how this show appeared, the important takeaway is just how significantly this policy affects everybody.
Well, I wasn't too thrilled when the United Kingdom papers started picking up on this, and the German press. This story's got legs, and it's everywhere. This isn't just something that just happened to vapors in the United States. It's all over the place now.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it. So, and it's not just us. It's appearing in print. So it's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, New Jersey. Watch out, or this could happen to you. When we issue a call to action, answer it.
Yeah, and just to hopefully a sliver of hope here in New Jersey, there is a bill. I believe there's a couple bills, but there's definitely one bill making its way through the legislature that would provide an exemption for vapor shops here in the state. I don't know if that would be expanded to trade shows. I hope so. I hope someone is forward thinking enough to eventually add that in. As far as I know, I would have to go back and read the bill. The current draft, the current bill does not really get into trade shows. Again, I'd have to read that again to confirm that. But so in the long run, I hope that this particular event didn't jeopardize the progress of that. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to on some of the accounts that I heard about, statements made by the Edison director of the Department of Health. It's really hard to imagine that they actually have very much credibility. They might as well have been accusing the organizers of promoting witchcraft. It's seriously just absurd. So I sincerely hope that this is not damaging to that legislation, but certainly there's a word of caution there. So hopefully this all works out for the good, and we have an exemption by the end of the year. But yeah, this is it's kind of interesting how this has turned into an international story.
Yeah, I don't think people thought it would. I mean, I don't think I did either, but there it was, and I was like, oh, hey, look, that's interesting. Look, it's in a UK paper. Oh, look, there's pictures from there's pictures from the trade show in a German paper. Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, it's definitely out there, and people are seeing it. So it's kind of, I guess, a cautionary tale. What happens when you do nothing? Not really, but what can happen if you do nothing? And
well, just to give a little bit of history about this, the Indoor Clean Air Law was amended in 2010. This was prior to I mean, CASAA was active at that time, but certainly not in the capacity that we are now. I don't think SFATA was up and running. There were no, large influential vaping at THR advocacy groups active at the time. At that time, as far as I know, CASAA was mainly focused on the FDA. This was, 2010 was just right after the Family Smoking Prevention and Control Act had passed. And I believe that's right about the time that the FDA was starting to seize shipments from China. So people were preoccupied with more federal level issues. This was not a case of people not taking action. It was a case of people didn't really know that this was a threat. But after this year's legislative session, all bets are off, man. Anything is fair game. So every state should be concerned, even if you have an active state level group that's managed to have some small victories in the past. The vapor control folks are, the nicotine control folks are a dedicated breed, and as we're seeing in California and Alabama, they will exploit loopholes in the legislative process in order to get this regulation passed. So, we're not done, and I hope I don't regret taking the past month to relax.
Well, it's been a very active year.
Yeah.
So, hopefully you guys get your exemption. It really is necessary for newer vapors. Being able to try a product and see if it'll work for them it's really key. It really is. But I think New Jersey was just ahead of the curve on a lot of tobacco control stuff, because it is the headquarters of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and they're big in that. They're big into tobacco control, vapor control, nicotine control.
They've got one of the screens on a billboard up on 495 right now. So every time I take the bus home, I see their little advertisement for, I don't know, I guess they're saving the world or something. And I just cringe a little bit. So thanks.
I don't know. I've got to tell you, one of the creepiest things I've ever read is they're really big into not just nicotine control and tobacco control. They're very big into, what is it called when they want to get temperance? They are still the biggest supporters of the anti-drinking groups on the planet. It's really weird. To them, it seems like it's something that's all tied together. So, just interesting stuff. Yeah. Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, big into control. So, yeah. Thank you for coming on with us tonight, Alex. If you have not yet joined CASAA, please go to CASAA.org and join us so that we can help you fight this ridiculous legislation that's coming, and punitive taxation. That's what we're here for. That's what we want to do. We exist to help you stop this. You can see us as CASAA Media on Twitter and Instagram, and join us on the CASAA official CASAA Facebook page or the We Are CASAA Facebook group. We'd love to hear from you, and share your stories at CASAA.org. Oh God, it's been so long since I've talked about this.
Actually, I updated the links on our main page. So just go to CASAA.org, and I changed the color on the font, so it's bright green now. It jumps out at you.
Nice.
Go to CASAA.org, and you can, if you don't get in the window of participation for the Surgeon General's little testimonial project, please contribute to the thousands of testimonials we have on our site. At last count, I think we have just over 4,000, and it would be great to, even if you can't fit your testimonial in 140 characters, you can just say, "Hey, Surgeon General, go to CASAA.org's testimonials project and read the thousands that we've already collected." And of course, please add yours.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for joining us again, Alex. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Good night.
Night.